Welcome to the Longevity Gym. Most home gyms unintentionally build a body that breaks by 50. We are re-engineering your space into a precision laboratory for skeletal durability, connective tissue resilience, and a lifetime of pain-free performance. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team as part of the Longevity series, living a long and active life.
The problem is trading long-term joint health for raw poundage. The old paradigm focused on heavier lifts and bigger numbers, measuring success by tonnage moved, not tissue quality. This led to chronic joint issues and restricted mobility for athletes in their 40s and 50s. These are predictable outcomes of environments designed to maximize load over optimizing biology. Repetitive high-load movement in a single plane, without adequate range of motion work, accelerates joint degeneration. Progress in your 30s can become restriction in your 40s and structural compromise in your 50s. The gym that built you can quietly dismantle you, often unseen until the damage is done. Fitness is shifting its focus. Skeletal durability now prioritizes bone density and ligament resilience. Biological independence focuses on long-term functional ability well into your 70s and 80s. Your training environment is now viewed as medicine, shaping your movement patterns daily and requiring intentional design with the right tool. Chapter 1. Engineering lower body resilience. We'll rebuild the knee, ankle, and hip complex from the ground up to absorb, distribute, and generate force across a lifetime of movement. The Slant board recalibrates patellar health. By elevating the heel, it dramatically reduces shear force on the knee, unlocks deep squat mechanics, and drives tendon perfusion for patellar tendon health. The Tibialis bar targets the forgotten anterior chain. Standard gym programs neglect the anterior tibialis, a primary driver of knee instability and shin splints. Tibialis raises correct this imbalance, building foundational strength for every step. Integrate these as a daily structural hygiene movement. Tendons are avascular and vulnerable to damage from heavy, low representative loading. The high-rep, full-range solution involves movements that drive fluid through tendon tissue. Slant board squats with slow negatives, performed for 15 to 25 repetitions, are key to rebuilding tendon resilience from the inside out. Core movements for lower body longevity include the slant board squat for tendon integrity, the tibialis raise for shin imbalance, the single leg lateral step down for knee stability, and Nordic curl progressions for hamstring loading and ACL stress reduction. Ground up stability is the foundation principle. Failures in the upper body often root in the foot, ankle, and knee. You must first rebuild the platform everything stands on, starting with the foot and ankle, progressing to the knee, and finally the hip and lumbar. Chapter 2. The scapular blueprint and ring mastery. We harness the instability of gymnastics rings to build the micro-stabilization capacity that your shoulders desperately need, which fixed bars and machines cannot replicate. Fixed bars force your shoulder into a single plane, neglecting rotator cuff stabilizers and leaving them vulnerable. Rings offer three-dimensional freedom, demanding micro-stabilization from every muscle, a non-negotiable stimulus for shoulder longevity. Micro-stabilization is the hidden work behind every ring repetition. Your nervous system processes thousands of micro-corrections per second, activating the rotator cuff musculature. This is proprioceptive training that protects the joint automatically under load. The transition from fixed bars to dynamic ring work starts with the ring row, foundational for posterior shoulder health. Next is the ring pull-up, replacing fixed bar pull-ups. Then ring rotations target the rotator cuff, culminating with skin the cat for full shoulder girdle mobility. To bulletproof the rotator cuff, ring training addresses all four muscles systematically. Unlike isolated resistance band work, the multi-planar demands of rings train the cuff under real-life movement variability. This includes training the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. Passive hanging, suspending your full body weight from rings or a bar, is one of the most powerful decompression tools. It lengthens the spine, opens the shoulder capsule, and restores overhead range of motion lost from sitting. Research suggests consistent hanging counteracts rotator cuff impingement. Aim for 2 to 5 minutes daily. The average adult spends over 10 hours daily hunched, leading to kyphotic posture. This shortens pectoral fascia and weakens stabilizers. Ring training offers a solution. Rows retract the scapula. Pull-ups restore thoracic extension, and hanging decompresses the cervical spine. Consistency is key to reversing the effects of digital life. Chapter 3. Multi-planar resistance and fluidity. Real human movement occurs in 3 planes simultaneously. Durable movement requires training in all of them, not just the sagittal up and down axis dominating conventional gym routines. Training exclusively in the sagittal plane, such as squats and deadlifts, creates a body strong in controlled conditions but vulnerable in real life. We must train the frontal plane with lateral movement and the transverse plane with rotational movement to achieve three-dimensional resilience. Mace bells are excellent for training the transverse plane. Their offset center of gravity demands rotational and anti-rotational control, training the obliques and shoulder girdle through a full arc of motion. This flowing movement trains the fascial system as a unified whole, improving force transmission and building coordinated strength. Resistance bands offer accommodating resistance, increasing load as they stretch, making them ideal for training end ranges of motion where injuries often occur. Banded movements like lateral walks and pull-aparts correct imbalances and ensure the connective tissue is challenged in every direction, eliminating brittleness. Eccentric loading is the controlled lengthening of a muscle under tension. It generates more force than the concentric phase and is the primary stimulus for tendon adaptation. This training rebuilds degenerative tendons, increases collagen, and trains the nervous system for rapid reactive force output, critical for longevity. The strong but brittle pattern stems from three issues. Single plane dominance leads to muscle imbalances. Fascia neglect from isolated training reduces range of motion. Neural stagnation from predictable movements limits the reactive agility needed for unexpected loads. Chapter 4. A protocol for architectural permanence. This involves designing your daily structural hygiene practice, a non-negotiable routine to maintain the connective tissue system without requiring excessive traditional gym time. Your daily routine includes a morning session for baseline mobility, a 30 to 45-minute training block using longevity tools, a midday reset to counter sitting, and an evening wind down to restore range of motion lost during the day. The goal is structural competence and pain-free mobility at 85, not peaking at 35. This requires a profound shift in mindset. Every training day is a deposit into your connective tissue account, focusing on what your tissue needs to remain functional for decades. Shift your mindset from aesthetic goals to structural goals, prioritizing tissue quality and joint range of motion. Move from seasonal peaks, which incur joint debt, to making daily deposits of consistent, moderate-intensity structural hygiene. Architecture is built through repetition, not heroics. Audit your current gym space. Are you only training in the sagittal plane? Are you stimulating connective tissue? Do you have overhead access for hanging? And are you including ground contact variety? Addressing these questions guides your tool selection. Tier 1 non-negotiable equipment includes gymnastics rings, a slant board for knee health, and a Tibialis bar to correct lower body imbalances. High-value Tier 2 equipment includes a mace bell for transverse work, resistance bands for end-range training, and mobility tools for fascial maintenance. The roadmap starts with auditing your environment and building from the ground up with foot and ankle work. Anchor your overhead system with daily hanging. Expand into multi-planar work with mace bells and bands, and commit to structural hygiene daily. This is the long game worth playing.